there's a lot of information there from the research to the prioritizing to it almost sounds like a journey I want to take them on or take them through. How are you organizing this? Is it a framework or is it the good old fashioned marketing plan? How are we pulling this all together so that we're clear? In order for our customer to have clarity, we've got to have clarity, our teams need to have clarity.
Yeah.
How are we organizing this to make sure that we're doing it in everything so that no matter who they're talking to, whatever the touch point is, as you said, they've got clarity on this journey we want to take them through?
Yeah. And so I should say marketing has a lot of frameworks, right? It is kind of the bedrock for marketing is that we have frameworks we can work with. But what I find with the different clients and customers that I work with is that they don't want cookie cutter, right? So it isn't like, okay, take this framework and we'll solve your marketing problems. That is often not going to work. So what's important is one, like developing the right framework, but there are a few that I always kind of fall back on because they're simple. They're easy to put together if you already have expansive marketing and you're like, I've done all the projects, I've done all the research, I've done all the work. I just need a little, tune up or I need a little realignment. Then, some of these frameworks we can fall back on quickly, pull in all of your key and core marketing messages, and then really go through a quick process to provide clarity around messaging and your customer needs and where your product can deliver. So one that I like to use a lot is actually a messaging platform. And that messaging platform or messaging framework actually helps you to start with kind of macro messaging. So you're going to think about your product value, your value proposition, what is it broadly? But then once you have that messaging, you're going to think about, okay, what is my brand personality? Can I really, in just a couple of sentences, think about what that is and how should I talk to a customer group? So you're really kind of starting to think about how you're going to come off to that particular customer group. And to give you an example that I'm working on right now, talking as a company that creates a product experience, so a packaging product experience for a customer group. You may be talking to designers that want to understand how that packaging is going to look. And if you're talking to designers, then you want to be using designing type language. What does it look like? How does the customer react to it? Are they wowed by it? Do they want to use innovative colors? Are they thinking about, the texture of a material? That's really how designers think and work and what they get really interested in. If you're talking to the C-suite, then it's a completely different set of language tools that you're going to use. You're going to start talking about ROI and sustainability, perhaps, or you might be talking about, time from order to delivery and some of the logistic elements. So you really need to be clear about who is it that you're going to talk to. And then, of course, to make it more complicated, you might be talking to the designer at the start of the journey, but then you might end up talking to the C-suite for the sign-off. So you are going to have to think about when and where are you going to talk about those two different customer groups. And I do see often when I'm talking to companies that have evolved, they've evolved away from what their original plan, and now they have a lot more to say. They have a lot more places to say it, and they're talking to a whole range of customer groups and customer levels versus before maybe it was just one conversation with one person and they could close the sale. So it is, it does get, as you grow, it's a good problem to have. It does get a little bit more complicated. And I think sometimes that's why a framework can help you really think about clearly who those customer groups are, the messages that you're going to provide for them, and how you're going to lay out that journey for that customer type. And so in that messaging framework, we will think about what the pillars are of your product, your business. So what are the top 3 things that you think your customers want? And where are the proof points that you can actually deliver on that? And so creating this framework will lay out for you those three pillars, the customer problem, where your proof points are, the language that you're going to use to that group. And that becomes something that you can give to everybody in your marketing, your sales organization. So it's something that everybody can keep coming back to. So everybody stays consistent and is thinking about how they talk to customers in those very clear terms, rather than let's just tell them what we told the last customer, or it worked with this customer, let's try that again, which is often what happens. And unfortunately it can become a bit of a Frankenstein, because you're just adding, sometimes people will add a new channel. Let's try social media and we'll just use the same language there as we've used before. Or let's try a new business line and we'll just kind of add on and we'll evolve a bit. That's fine. But if you're really trying to grow your business, it often ends up where your marketing team or your marketing agency are doing a lot of busy work. They're just spinning their wheels because they're pushing out new messages and they don't really know, what's working, what's not working, because they don't have that baseline in place. At least if you put everything down in a framework, you can say, you know what, that's not working anymore. Let's go back and rethink that language and make sure that it's really hitting the target successfully. So yeah, so that's a really useful framework that I like to keep coming back to, and has served me well.